You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into another edition of the Locked On Rays podcast. And Ulises, today we have a very special guest, and that is Grant Witherspoon, who is a Tampa Bay Rays position player prospect and killing it with AA Montgomery. Grant, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate the time today.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Well, we're recording this on a Saturday, Grant. So for those listeners that will be enjoying this interview, can you walk us through a normal weekend for Grant? What are you up to? Are you a Netflix guy? Are you reading a lot? Are you working out? What's a normal weekend for you?
Without baseball or with baseball?
Off the field.
Off the field. I like when I'm at home. I like going on hikes and being outside, and then I like Netflix. Play some PlayStation, and then just hang out with friends, and I'm always checking my NFTs.
NFTs.
There we go. Big into the NFTs. Love it.
Yeah.
A couple things there. What's your go-to Netflix show or series?
My favorite one, probably my go-to right now is Ozark. That's what we've been watching, but we need to commit to it. We always just turn it on and stop watching it, so we kind of paused it. But that's the one we've been watching.
Okay. What about number two? Because I've not gotten into Ozark, so I'm trying to find some.
It's on my list, but same here. I haven't committed yet, but it's on the list.
They had The Office on there, but they took it off. I don't know why,
Okay.
but that's my favorite show of all time, probably.
Well, we can get on board with that because we're big Office fans. So
you guys are? Yeah, let's go.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
100%. Okay. Well. Even though those weekends do sound like a lot of fun, it's been a lot of fun for you in 2022 on the field. I mean, you are hitting 336. You have a 924 OPS, 5 bombs already. You were named Player of the Week. I always want to kind of dissect the mind of someone who has been doing so well in that week. What are you? Are you a meticulous, superstitious person, or do you go every day just like, it's a new one and it doesn't matter what I did yesterday?
No, I'm not superstitious really at all. I just guess I just try to come to the field like with the same plan, I guess, every day. But I don't have any superstitions. It was just like that week was just like I'm not getting beat today. Like I'm not getting beat in this at bat, and then just did that like every at bat. But yeah, that's what I have.
And as Ulises alluded to, you are on a tear this season, particularly offensively. What has been the change this year compared to previous years in the minor leagues? I mean, I'm fully expecting some sort of news report that, hey, Grant Witherspoon's getting called up to AAA before long. So what is going on that allows you to have a 924 OPS so far this season, hitting home runs, stealing bases, batting 336? Just is there a major change that you made in the offseason or a focal point that has allowed you to really thrive so far this year?
No, it's not a major change. I pride myself in like coming back better every year. So I think that I've just kind of continued to do that, just get better every year. But then I feel like here I've been hitting off speed better. Kind of those like get me over pitches that are like down the middle that in the past I would take. Like I'm trying to swing at and drive those. So that's definitely a big change. But yeah, I didn't really make any changes in the off season. Just I ended the season well last year, so I kind of wanted to just stick with that. But yeah.
Every year, we have seen the numbers keep improving everywhere, every step of the way. Is that an improvement on the workout regimen, or is it more you have now started to learn how to read scouting reports better, look at video a little bit better? Like, what is the preparation like that? It has seen improvement every year in and out with your numbers.
I think it's just like I go into the off season like I know that what I've been doing like hasn't been good enough, so like I'm a guy who goes and works out all the time and hits all the time, but I feel like it's just like the over time, it just kind of hopefully just builds on itself. I forgot the second part of the question, but
Well, the scouting
answered
reports,
that.
looking at video and the pictures, studying pictures, has that gotten easier with time?
Oh yeah, like I wasn't really a huge baseball guy, so like I like before pro ball, like I only played one summer of baseball that I went to the Cape Cod and just played there. So I think that just having more experience, just like having a plan against the pitcher and like seeing what he's throwing, watching the video. I'll come before we come to the park. We watch the video of the guys online, and then just kind of building a plan of off those guys, and then you can just see the data in the dugout of what he's throwing. Like it'll be a live update of like what's his horizontal, what's his vertical, what's his velo, and then we'll kind of just go off of that. Like you can kind of picture the pitch coming in your head.
This is
And
in game.
Yeah, it's like allowed with like TrackMan. They let you have like an iPad in the dugout. It like updates every pitch.
That's very cool. That's very cool. And speaking of that, kind of obviously, Grant, you're on a tremendous tear so far this year, but there's some studs in that dugout, especially offensively. There's Greg Jones, there's Curtis Mead, there's Austin Shinton. Does it help at all to be able to play with those guys who are also very talented players? And can you kind of take some tips from and talk to those guys and get into the mind of a pitcher or what the other team is doing? Like how much does having so many talented ball players on a single club help you thrive as well?
Yeah, it's also kind of like it like drives you when you have like a lot of good guys around you. So like maybe if you didn't have that high level of talent on the team, you could some people may just get like kind of go through the motions, but I feel like we have so many good guys like in the dugout in Montgomery, like and our hitters, it's kind of just like all right, like the standard needs to be like here. So but yeah, it's really fun to watch all those guys, a lot of talented guys for sure.
Do you all ever discuss the possibility of if your team, your Montgomery team as it's built right now, played a AAA team or a big league team, how you all would stack up or fare against them? Do you ever have those conversations where it's like, man, we're a pretty good group. I think we could, maybe go toe to toe with the Orioles or Tigers or something like that in a 3, 5, 7 game series?
No, we don't really talk like that, but I know some people may like to think that, but it's probably a big jump to the big leagues. But I feel like everyone's just trying to like do what they can, like to fill in their holes that they need so that they can get there. So you don't really do any comparing like that, I guess. But
Yeah.
obviously, you want to play like at the next level up, and you think like, oh, how would I do or whatever. But I guess you're just trying to more focus on what you need to do to like have success there, you know?
And speaking of that, what are you looking to improve this season and beyond to get to AAA and get to the big leagues? Is there anything that the coaching staff has told you or that internally that you need to work on to make that next step and make that next level? I mean, I guess one of the the challenging things about being a prospect in the Rays organization is that there's so many other talented players and it's tough to get that opportunity. So I guess, does that really drive you to say, man, I got to get really, really good to get that opportunity to play for the Rays or some other team maybe?
Yeah, 100%. It's kind of like sometimes you think about like if you were in another organization, you may be like a bigger deal, but like I feel like the only thing that we can do is like push like say like I said before, like what we've been doing is not good, or like what I've been doing isn't good enough. So like it's only like if you don't like go as hard as you can to kind of improve, then you may just get stuck, you know? So yeah.
And building off of that a little bit, do you ever look at prospect rankings on Fangraphs or MLB.com or Baseball America, Baseball Prospectus to see where you're being ranked or how you're being talked about compared to others? I didn't know how much you read the tea leaves and read the press clippings about what you are doing or what other players in the organization are doing or how you all are perceived as a group.
Yeah, I'll go on Twitter and I'll look at our top 30 prospects, but I would like to get on that list because I'm not on the top 30. But I mean, it doesn't really matter. But like, I mainly just stay on Twitter, and I kind of know who's in the top prospects, I would say, and definitely like motivating to try to climb the ladder on that. But yeah.
Let's go back to a comment that you mentioned about only playing one time in the summer for baseball. What's your earliest baseball memory? How old were you? Who introduced baseball to you? How did this love for the game start?
Well, I don't remember this one, but I grew up like my parents would always take me to Rockies games in Colorado, and they said that the first game that they took me to, like a home run landed like in my diaper bag. So they were like, "Oh, this guy's probably gonna be a baseball player." But I guess first time playing, like we had a park across the street from my house, so my dad and I would go over there and just being a little kid, just playing with him all the time. So my dad
And
kind of like grew my love for baseball, even though he wasn't super big into baseball himself. I think I don't know why he did it, but like I always loved it.
how long were you into baseball where you're like, okay, I'm not just like good, but I'm really good above my peers? How old were you when that realization came to you?
Probably um, like even like my senior year of high school, I was good. It's just like I had barely. That was when I like committed to baseball. So like that was when I was like, all right, I can play in college, or like I know I can play in college and probably play D1. And then even going into college, I didn't really have like I I just had like no ego, I guess, with like as far as like draft status because I had never talked to any scouts or anything, and so like I kind of saw my freshman year that we had a couple guys on the team who got drafted pretty high, and kind of saw all the scouts and all the everything, and I was like, yeah, I want to do that. Like I want to leave after junior year, so that was probably when I like thought that I had a chance for long term.
And in high school, I read, I don't know if this is true, but that you played not only center field, but also first base, and you were a pitcher too. Do
Hmm.
you ever miss being on the mound? What were your pitches? What were you featuring? Can you tell us a little bit of Grant Witherspoon, the high school pitcher?
Yeah, I missed pitching. I pitched twice in college as well. I was like a closer, and then my arm kind of like my arm can't handle that. But I threw probably a max effort two seamer, and then a lot of change ups, and then a
Okay.
bad curveball or slider, whatever. But yeah, the changeup was my pitch. Changeup and fastball.
I mean, that sounds like a true opener for the Rays, doesn't it, Kevin? And then play center field for the rest of the
Yeah,
game.
it does a little bit. Grant, you mentioned, I mean, obviously pitching a little bit in high school, and I guess your ultimate opportunity would have been as a position player. But do you think pitching growing up helped you understand or get into the mind of what a pitcher is trying to do to get out a hitter?
Yeah, yes and no, because like I love the competing, but it was I guess I thought about it different than our guys because I feel like our pitchers almost think like too much. Like even like any pitcher that I see, like they're thinking like I did this just so that you would think this, blah blah blah. But I feel like most hitters are just like I was just like trying to hit one down the middle. I wasn't really thinking about all of that or but I do miss like I think one of the most competitive things in sports is baseball, like pitching, like because you literally control every like pitch of the game, and I just love that. But so I do miss that, but a lot of the pitchers just have to sit around at the field all day, and I would not want to do that when I'm not pitching. I feel like I'd rather just play every day.
Yeah, that's a good point. And
A
going
lot of
back a
arm
little,
pain too.
yeah, that's
Yeah, I bet.
yeah. Tommy, I mean, we've seen it with the big league club with the Rays, just how many guys have gone down with various arm, elbow, shoulder injuries, Tommy
Hmm.
Johns and UCL. I mean, just so many things that add up over time. But Grant, going back a little bit, in growing up in Colorado, and I guess being a Rockies fan or following the Rockies, who was the player that you followed or modeled your game after, if there is one out there?
It was Larry Walker.
Mm.
I loved he had a red bat and always walked up to Crazy Train, and I just always thought he was the man. So I loved him and Todd Helton. Those guys were always go to the game and watch them on TV and tell my parents I was trying to be like Larry Walker. So
That's
the
not a bad guy to pick. Him,
yeah, Hall of
or
Famer
Todd
now.
Helton.
He just got
Yeah.
inducted. Yeah.
Yeah,
And hopefully Todd Helton will also get inducted. Let's stop this madness of Colorado not having any players because of the that's nonsense. Todd Helton deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
And that's another thing too, is growing up in Colorado, was it one of those things where baseball could only be a couple months sport and then you had to transition to another sport, or were there indoor facilities that you went to, or you traveled out of state or had to travel out of state to continue to play? Just, it's a lot different than being a high school or a youth ball player in California, Texas, Florida, Arizona, even parts of Georgia. I would imagine it's sort of a different baseball environment, I guess, in Colorado.
Yeah, it's people are always surprised by this, but it's one of like the most sunny states in the United States. So like there is snow, yes, but it's very warm a lot of the time. So like even like yesterday it snowed, but the day before it was 90 degrees. So like Colorado weather is crazy. So there is more sun than you would think, but I guess that Colorado, the main thing that is that there's no like huge big time baseball. So like growing up there, it's like you're always kind of have a chip on your shoulder because like scouts and everyone will be like, oh, he's just from cold weather state in Colorado where they don't really play good baseball. So like that was a little hard for recruiting because there's no like D1 schools. There are like one or two D1 schools in Colorado, and they're not like the big time schools that you would want to go to. So definitely that was probably what was the biggest thing, and I just never really played a bunch of it.
Yeah, and so in addition to baseball, you were playing other sports growing up in high school. Like I believe I saw basketball and golf. So you transitioned. You basically be a multi-sport athlete, I guess.
Yeah, I was like super all in on basketball. So I thought I was going to play basketball at the next level, and like so I just played 3 sports, whichever one was in season for school I would play, and then I would play basketball in the summer.
Were you a point guard?
Point guard.
Okay. Wow.
I needed probably a few more inches to play in college, but I could have gone somewhere and maybe just sat the bench. But I feel like baseball, I came to the realization that baseball was probably the sport I needed to play.
Yeah, that's I guess the sport that gives you an opportunity to make money playing professionally too, as opposed to, there's the NBA, but your other option
I wasn't making the NBA, yeah.
Yeah, going overseas if you want to try to have a career with that. But do you feel like playing basketball and playing some other sports helped you with baseball, as far as, I hear this about how important it is for young athletes growing up to play multiple sports to just get the difference in competition, not get burned out by the sport they're, best at, and getting the different muscle groups and athletic movements going. Just how much that basketball or other sports that you dabbled in growing up maybe transitioned or fostered your baseball career?
Yeah, I think for sure basketball helps, especially because I feel like just playing that much and like having to run and be quick twitch like that definitely helps because I guess in the outfield, like I have like surprising speed. So like I think I get that from that. I feel like I would encourage anyone to play as many sports as possible, honestly. Maybe not turn over to baseball like last second like I did, but like definitely like diversify in sports.
Well, I got to tell you, I'm really impressed with what you're telling us, and I bet that your parents are also very proud of everything you've accomplished. But I also read that your major in college was chemical engineering. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was.
I don't know how many players in MLB have studied chemical engineering. You'd be one of the few. How did you get into that path? I mean, you're a guy who wants to get deep into baseball, and your major is chemical engineering. That doesn't happen every day. So, can you walk us
Yeah.
through that decision? Do you miss those classes? Were you good at it?
Yeah, so I guess I always had a knack for like science and math.
Hmm.
So like an engineer, I have a very like logical, I guess, type of thinking, and my uncle was a big time, or is a big time chemical engineer. So I always kind of liked like what he did. So like I just went into school thinking, and my this is like credit to my parents too. They were always like telling me to pick something that I could like get a job with easily, like no matter what. So I was like, all right, I'm just gonna do the hardest thing that I can get through, and it'll be a great thing to have for life, or like a good fallback plan. So then I got into it, and at first I was like, these classes are way too hard, like, and then I guess I started like thinking of it like more competitively, like
Mm,
like me against the kids on the class, and like
yeah.
it was definitely a lot of work, and hopefully it's not all wasted. And I guess down the road, like when I'm done playing, whenever that is, even if it's a long time, like I'll have that to do, because it is pretty fun to do some of the stuff, but some of the classes are not worth it.
Yeah.
I don't even want to think about some of them, but I think I'm glad that I did it, even though it may be like a lot of time that I could have been putting towards other things. But it's like at the same time, it's like my thought process was right in doing it, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely much more difficult than majoring in mass communications or something like that. And
Yeah.
I'm willing to bet that Grant was the most athletic person in those chemical engineering
Yeah.
classes. I'm going to go out on a limb and suggest that. And speaking of that, Grant, so that is something that you're thinking about or considering after baseball. Hopefully, you have a long, thriving pro career, but after that, getting into something within the chemical engineering field? Or have you thought about, I mean, you're a pretty smart, bright guy, that maybe work in a baseball front office or something like that? Have you given any thought to those sorts of things? I honestly, I'm kind of an idiot. I have no idea like what somebody who majors in chemical engineering, where they would go to work. So I don't know if you can kind of enlighten us to that a little bit.
Yeah, so you could do anything. You could do like oil. You could work in oil. You could work in pharmaceuticals.
Hmm.
You could do like renewable energy. But yeah, like I mean, I don't know. It would like I always thought that I would like do that for a couple years and then try to do management, because I feel like most engineers don't really like to talk to people, or like kind of do their own thing. But I feel like now, since I haven't been doing anything with it, well, I went back in during COVID for a semester, so I like did class kind of recently. So, but yeah, I feel like I've gotten like more like into the stock market and into NFTs, like kind of on my own. Like I have like one account that's like smart, and then it's like I'm kind of learning through like doing that. So I feel like I may be kind of swayed to do something with like business, if
Hmm.
or once I ever have to be done playing.
How long would it take to actually finish that chemical engineering? You said you just went back for a semester. Like, how many semesters are we
Yeah,
talking
so
here?
so I left after my junior year, and then I just did one semester in the fall, and I just have one semester left. So
Oh, you're right
um,
there. You see
yeah,
that
that's
that
all I
light at the end
have.
of the tunnel. Okay,
Yeah,
that's
but
pretty cool.
it's like the only reason I haven't done it is because we got to do it in like these classes I need are like in spring. So like I'm not going to be doing that and going to spring training
Yeah.
and doing that during the same time. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, that would
but
be
it's
crazy,
like
but
not
is it
much.
doable? Do you think is if you have no sleep, would it be doable?
Yeah, I could do it. It's just like I don't want to put that on myself when I'm like focused on baseball, you know?
Yeah, no, of
Yeah.
course.
That's totally understandable. And going back a little bit, Grant, I am curious about this. Speaking of college, being from Colorado, how did you wind up playing ball at Tulane? Was that one of the only schools that offered you, or you wanted to go to a warmer weather environment. It's kind of funny. It seems like Tulane's kind of a maybe an underrated baseball spot. I know Andrew Friedman played college ball there, and some other notorious baseball figures have as well. But that maneuver from the state of Colorado to Tulane University.
Yeah, well, I had to go somewhere, so kind of just I didn't want to stay in Colorado, and then for baseball reasons, and then I actually hit for a guy. A coach came into town from McNeese State. I don't know if you know where that is, but another Louisiana college. He came to Colorado. I hit for him. His name was Corey Barton, and then he offered me, and then I decided it wasn't really the place for me. And then I didn't say anything to him. He ended up calling Tulane and saying this guy can play. He deserves to go to like a bigger school. And then the coach who's now at Texas, David Pierce, he called me and offered me like without even like seeing me really, just based off of the guy's word. So I owe a lot to Corey, but there were a lot of other schools I was looking at, but then I kind of researched Tulane and like saw that they had like unreal facilities and it was in New Orleans. That was kind of cool. So I decided just to do it.
Did you consider ever going the JUCO route or consider any Florida schools or anything like that? Or you just wanted to go straight to D1 and some sort of warm weather climate?
Yeah, I was thinking like probably JUCO probably would not have been a good fit for me. I guess because of academics, I was super into the engineering thing at the time. So, I mean, yeah. So I know friends that went to JUCO, but I don't know if I would have had to transfer. Then I maybe would have looked into the JUCO route. But yeah, I just went straight to Tulane.
And at Tulane, you had a lot of fun because your junior year, you were first team All American Athletic Conference, American Athletic All Tournament team. When these things are happening, when you're the guy walking with a big stick in the clubhouse, the draft coming so close, you said that's when you got drafted after your junior year. When these things are happening, are you already thinking it's happening? I'm going to get drafted. A Major League Baseball team is going to call me.
Yeah, so like that was like a lot of pressure kind of just like you kind of know that like you're like a prospect and like you know that like I was like telling myself like that fall preparing for that season, I just wanted to be so prepared that I just had so much pressure to like I was kind of like a fringe prospect and I was just like I need to like do this year to like make some money. So like so it is a lot. Like you had scout meetings all the time and just like so many scouts at the games. Just kind of I liked it, but it's definitely a lot for some people. Like it's kind of overwhelming, but I just kind of was used to being overwhelmed with school and everything, and I was just like, all right, like try to just be strong mentally and just have fun. Like my last year here, so that was fun.
Do you remember how many teams were after you? I mean, when you're now collecting those accolades, are there a lot of teams still calling you? Did you see that jump from fringe to hey, I got some eyeballs on me?
Yeah, so definitely like because that was really my only like dominant year at Tulane, so I kind of knew I needed to have that year to go higher. So definitely like a lot more teams started coming like a little bit into the season, maybe have like into like fall ball and everything. Like, so I met with like every team except for like the Rays were one of two teams I didn't meet with. Like, it's kind of funny.
Wow.
The Rays like called me like a day before the draft and like for the first time. So I think they have their own way of doing it where they don't necessarily want to like tell other teams like who they're looking at. And they obviously have all of their algorithms and everything. So I think they just have a unique way of doing it, and I feel like their scouting has been like so good. So like, why stop? Like they seem to be doing something right.
Yeah, the secret sauce is definitely there. Now, I always like asking this question. Kevin knows exactly where I'm going with this now. I'm a sucker for the videos of guys getting called up to the majors, and I'm also a sucker for draft stories like draft day, how they got that phone call. So Can you take us back to that day? What were you feeling? How did the phone call come in? Who spoke to you? What was your first reaction? Who was there with you? Who's your first call? Can you walk us through that whole draft day?
So it was like I woke up and like I get a text from my agent saying there's a deal from this team in the third whatever round, and that happened probably about like 7 times, and then like these teams would be say like, oh, we're gonna take you here, and then it's like you and another guy, and then they ended up being like, oh, this guy, we didn't know this guy was on the board. So I was like young and like kind of immature, and I was like, oh, like what's going on, kind of like what are these teams doing, blah blah blah. And then but I was just in my family room with my parents and my grandpa and my family, and just kind of watching it on the TV, like wow, like this is like real. And then I got the call, and then just like super happy, and I guess I felt like I like all of that work kind of just paid off, and that I had earned it. And then I flew out to Tampa and signed like the next day at the Trop.
And
Very cool.
when you got the call from the Rays and had those initial meetings with the Rays signing in St. Petersburg or the Tampa Bay area, was there anything that they told you that they liked about your game and your style of play? Like, hey, yeah, we never really had conversations with you during the pre-draft process, but this is why we think you're deemed to be a fourth-round pick.
Yeah, they said that they thought that I reminded them of Corey Dickerson. So I think that's they just kind of liked that I like could play center field and run, but also hit and kind of throw. So it was kind of like they knew that I was like more raw. Like I hadn't played much baseball, but like I feel like they told me that they liked that my ceiling could be high.
That's really interesting. And going back a little bit, so you were drafted, I guess, as a center fielder, and now in the minor leagues. Have you played multiple positions besides center field? Have you played in the corners a little bit? Just
Oh yeah.
do you feel like are you more comfortable in center field compared to the corners? Just where do you like to play? If you had your opportunity, you said this is where I'd like to play if I could.
Definitely center field, but I mean, when you're with the Rays and you got Kiermaier and Phillips, it's kind of like, all right, if you're not a primary like defense guy, like you may not be playing center. So like, obviously, I would love to play anywhere in the big leagues. So like,
Yeah.
I'm fine with left, right, or center. But so last year we had a straight rotation where you would go like center, left, right, or like. So that was last year. So that the Rays kind of do a good job of like kind of like seasoning us, and like we were always told like when you get called up, you're not going to be playing center field. Like everyone kind of just gets called up and goes wherever they need someone. So I've been playing more right this year as well.
Yeah.
So like I think that they liked how my arm like has looked coming back. That was definitely one of the things I tried to get better was my arm this year. And so I've played a lot of right field, and I've only played right and center this year. So I haven't played any left. That was a little different. But yeah, I like them all as long as I'm on the field, honestly.
No, I understand that. And speaking of that, just can you sort of outline to the fans out there the differences in playing left field, center field, right field? It's not as easy as just plug and play, but just how do those positions compare to one another and maybe to your strengths or somebody else's strengths?
Right. So like right field, you're gonna have to probably have the best arm or a really good arm out there, because you're gonna be having to throw to third base. Like it's like the longer throw as opposed to left field to third, or that's really pretty much that really never happens, but that's always kind of like the thing that's like the baseball thing is like the right fielder has the best arm.
Yeah.
Because of that reason. But then like if you like a righty's hitting and you're in right field, like the ball's gonna like tail away from you, because like usually they cut it, or like if you're in left field and the lefty's hitting, that's gonna tail, whereas a righty hits it to left field, it's probably gonna carry more. Like that. And then center field, you can kind of just see everything. like see the pitch going in. You can get better reads and you have more ground to cover out there. But yeah.
Interesting. And not to have too many questions on when you're drafted. I know it was several years ago, but what was the process like for you of finding an agent and finding an agency that fit your style and fit your needs and fit what you're looking for? And was it a situation where you had all these different agents that reached out to you and then you and your family had to get together to find the best fit? Just what's that process like for somebody in college and has a profile as a pro athlete?
Yeah, that was kind of there was definitely a lot of different agents that you would hear from, and everyone wanted to sit down and talk and everything. But I found Ballinger Group. My friend Jake Rogers had my agent Scott Barber. He represented him, and he really liked them. And Scott just reached out to me, and I went to eat with him, and I really liked him a lot. So they've definitely treated me really well. But yeah, I would just tell everyone to do their own research. And there's some people out there who are kind of shady. Just kind of know like that you want someone that has your best in mind. So I don't know, just it's fun. It's like a good problem to have. Is like I need to like be finding an agent. So just kind of don't take that for granted. And I don't know. I really like the Ballinger Group, and that's what I would say.
That's awesome.
You talk about controlling the uncontrollable. I saw that you used that phrase. You can control what you can control. What is in your hands. When you go to the field, what are the things that you can control? I mean, the guy can throw 99. There's nothing you can do about it. What is it that when you are in the clubhouse right before the game, what are the things that you know that you have done that can get you to the place that you want to be? What are the controllables for you?
I have recently been doing this visualization that our mental skills coach, he gave me like an audio file of him talking through like some visualization. So I have been doing that, but I guess just before that, I've just like, you can control like what you think, like you can think what outcome is coming. And like I mean, all you can control is like, are you going to like play hard today? And are you going to be locked in? And are you going to have like a good mental approach today? And I mean, I think that's what I like about baseball. It's like, there's so many games, you got to have guys who can do that over and over.
And how do you do that when there's a big jumbotron with a big numbers? When you're struggling, they don't look that nice. And when you're doing 2022 Grand Witherspoon things, it looks pretty good. How do you control not glancing at the jumbotron, or do you still do it either if you're slumping or if you're doing great?
Yeah, in the past I've tried not to look at anything, but I feel like, I don't know, it's just, if I see it now, it's like, all right, I know I have like 100 games left or whatever. So like, I know that from last year I was struggling super hard in the beginning, like first half, and I know that if you're struggling, like as long as you don't give up, like you're gonna get out of it. So like, I mean, that's just my mindset, I guess. So yeah, I don't know.
What's it like to play for Morgan Ensberg with Montgomery, a guy who had certainly not a Hall of Fame career, but a really solid career that 99% of position ball players would dream of, where he made an All-Star game, he played 8 years in the bigs, he won a Silver Slugger. Like he's a recognizable name in the baseball sphere. Just what's it like to go to the ballpark for him every day and learn from him, and just the experience of a guy that has been there and done that and isn't, an old crusty manager that's 75 years old. He's relatively young at 46 and some change.
Yeah, I like Mo a lot. He's obviously been where we all want to be. He's an all-star, so like not many people can say that. And I like the way that he talks about hitting, because he's like talks like as if there's a basketball of the strike zone, and it's like at this level, no matter what pitch comes like over the middle, like you have to attack it. So like I feel like that really resonated with me because like that's what we're trying to do. Like we talk all the time about like how we need to just swing at the pitches over the middle, and then just I don't know, he's just a good guy, and I really like him, and it's cool to have someone that you're playing for who's like done what you want to do.
With the numbers, I want to go back to the numbers because that visualization got to me. With the numbers, how do you separate the traditional stats and the analytical? Obviously, with the race organization, they do have so much information that they provide to the players. Is there a certain line where you only look at certain things in the analytical world? Are you more of an OPS, batting average, launch angle? What are you looking at the baseball numbers? Because we all know that baseball is made for people that love numbers.
Yeah, the numbers. I think OPS is probably the biggest thing that the Rays and everyone looks at, but obviously it's hard. Like I feel like growing up, I always looked at average, but it's like I'm trying to like I don't know, just hit the ball hard and drive the ball because I feel like that's what GOAT plays. So yeah, that's pretty much what I look at is OPS and ISO and home runs, obviously, and slugging.
Is that
On
kind
base
of the
percentage.
lexicon? Is that kind of the lexicon that's happening in the clubhouse right now? Like you guys talk about OPS, hard hit percentage, all of those things, or are there still ball players around you that are talking about RBIs and batting averages? What is
Yeah,
the lexicon in the clubhouse?
So the main three things the Rays look at are hard hit percentage, walk rate, and strikeout rate. So they obviously don't want you striking out. They want you walking a lot and driving the ball a lot, and that's what's going to be the most conducive to success. So, I mean, they want us driving the ball now, which is great, and not striking out and walking. So, I mean, that's what guys are trying to do, and obviously, guys like I don't know, it's not like they just talk about the, like driven ball rate or something. It's like they just want to like hit the ball hard and like their OPS or whatever will show, you know.
And of course, there's the offensive metrics that you touched on, but are there defensive metrics that the Rays or the minor league organizations give you? I know there's the numbers out there that anybody can look at and say outs above average, defensive runs saved, but are there some proprietary numbers within the organization that indicates that okay, you're doing a pretty good job fielding the ball right now?
Yeah, I know that it's like kind of weird because it's the minor leagues and they don't have, not every team has the same like tracking, but I know that from places that we go that have like the Hawkeye or the things that track that, then the Rays get that data and they know all, like defensively like what you do. They don't really show us that much, or no one really asks to see it, I guess, but like they just tell you like if you're like above average, like they'll tell you, or if you're average, they'll say you need work on this. But yeah, for defense, that's what they say.
How often are those brochures or portfolios, or maybe just a sheet of paper? How often do those come to you by the organization saying, "Hey, this is what we've been looking at"?
You can ask for it more probably, but like they'll have like it look like the whole team will be like all of their more advanced data will just be posted like once a week probably. Okay. And like your good is highlighted in one color and your bad's highlighted in another, so you kind of look at where you're at versus league average. But yeah, about once a week.
Do they put that for that any player can look at any other players, or do they just print out this is Grant Witherspoon's and they put it in your locker, or do they have a list that's hanging out the door that okay, I can see what Greg Jones is doing, or I can see what Evan Edwards is doing?
You can see everyone.
Wow. Interesting. Wow. So is there a little bit of competition internally with that of like, hey, you're hitting the ball a little bit harder than I am, so on and so forth?
Yeah, but it's like everyone's trying to do like, everyone's trying to have success. So I mean, obviously like we're competitive. There's competition with everything, so everyone looks at it and like looks at it for like 10 minutes. Everyone's just standing up there like looking at it.
That's
I
pretty
bet.
cool.
You talk about competitiveness. How about the competitiveness? Maybe in the bus rides or in the clubhouse. Can you? We've talked to Curtis Mead, Logan Driscoll. They've talked about poker being big in the clubhouse. Are you a big poker guy? Are you a big cards guy? What is the go-to relaxation time with the boys?
I like poker a lot. This team we've been playing more other card games, but I like cards a lot. Poker's kind of hard to play on the bus because it's like a lot of chips and everything and moving around everywhere. But yeah, we'll play poker. We'll play 13. We'll play a bunch of other card games, and then we'll play some PlayStation too.
What about golf? Do you guys get on the golf course at all and have a little back and forth competition?
But I've said I'm retiring my golf game temporarily because they have a nice course here that we can play, but like the last few times I've gone on the off day, I've just sprayed the ball everywhere. So I'm almost just like, all right, maybe I should just not golf because like you're tired and it's just, if you're not hitting the ball in the fairway, it's like you're all over the place and it's hot and like I don't know. I just had 2 bad outings, so we'll see what I have to say in like a couple months. But yeah, that's how I feel right now.
Did you play in high school? You played golf in high school?
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind
Do you
of
feel
like
like
my basketball coach was a golf coach, so I just decided to play. I wasn't really that like competitive with it. I was just trying to play, and you got to leave school and go to all these tournaments, and you got to play golf like every day for practice. So I was like, all right, I'll do it.
I always heard this growing up and playing baseball that you don't want to play golf; it'll ruin your baseball swing, or vice versa. Does the organization say anything about that at all, or it's just like, hey, it's at least they're not skydiving or something like that?
Yeah, so like the org doesn't really say anything about it, but I don't swing lefty. I swing righty in golf, so
okay.
I guess I didn't want to mess up my swing or anything, so it's kind of like a nice release from like I go to the golf course and I swing in a completely different way, so with like different handed, so it's kind of nice, honestly.
Just as far as the lifestyle and the gameplay aspect, just how much, man, this is a big jump from high school to college, or man, this is a big jump from college to pro, or man, this is a big jump from single A to double A, etc.
Yeah, I mean, high school in Colorado compared to like D1 baseball was a big jump, and I feel like that was the first time I kind of saw like off speed, like good off speed. So then that was a big adjustment, and then like college to pro, like my rookie ball or whatever, like you see like more velo because I wasn't really used to seeing. Like I'd see velo on Friday night maybe, or like in the bullpen a couple times, but like everyone's throwing hard, and then that was a big adjustment. And then like now like low A or high A to double A, it just seems like that off speed, like they can throw like for strikes more. So it's like kind of like you have velo and the off speed, so it's like kind of like a mix, but it's kind of like I feel like people kind of know what they're doing more. So like I kind of like that they're like more around the zone or like have a good plan. Whereas like in rookie ball, it may have just been like spray and pray, like everything everywhere, and you don't know where this guy's throwing the ball. But yeah. So and then I'm sure like AAA big leagues will be like this adjustment will be even bigger. So like I don't know, it's kind of cool how you kind of look back and be like high A, like I would dominate high A right now. Like everyone kind of says that. It's kind of like it'll be weird like later on where you look back on double A, it'll be like, oh, like I would dominate that, you know?
Yeah. Let's stick Wander Franco in single A or double A. Let's see how he does. It'd be a fun
I played with him in low A, and we all knew that he was going to be unreal.
How do you know, after being in so many clubhouses, seeing so much baseball, being around baseball so much, what makes somebody like that? You said, oh, we all knew. What was the thing that he had that you're like, oh, well, he's gone?
I think when he went a month and a week without swinging and missing in low A, that's when we knew he was something special.
And that was probably what, 17 or 18 then, something like that?
That was in low A would be in 19.
Wow.
Yeah, that was 3 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a kid. Yeah.
That's crazy. Also, Grant, you were one of Ray's organization players that got the experience to play in Australia during the pandemic season or seasons. Just what was that like for you being able to go down under and play some ball there and get some culture there?
It was awesome. We were battling COVID there, but it was like it was really cool. I always wanted to go to Australia, and it was like super hot there. Like a lot of like stuff to do like outside, which I love. Like a lot of good golf. And then the players, it was like a lot of like older like Australian guys that like knew how to pitch, but like maybe not throwing the hardest, but like would like throw every pitch you had. And it was cool that they wanted me to go there and play some first base just so I would have it in my back pocket. The Rays did, so I went there, played first and outfield, but yeah, so it was a good time.
That's awesome. Well, Grant, we don't want to keep you from practice. We don't want to get you in trouble. We could write you a handwritten note or something, a doctor's note, and get creative there. But we really appreciate the time and all the great conversation answers. And Ulises, I think we speak for each other in that we wish Grant the best of luck. And hopefully, maybe this season, next season, we see him in a Rays uniform.
That's for sure. That we hope to see you at the Trop one day. And best luck this season and onwards.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thanks for having me on. That was fun.
Of course.